Shares in Ucore Rare Metals have soared almost tenfold in the past year. Now, the company just won conditional approval for up to $36 million in support from the Government of Canada to scale up a processing facility in Kingston, Ontario. The idea here is to refine two rare earths, including samarium, a very important material. Let's bring in Pat Ryan. He's the CEO and chairman of Ucore Rare Metals. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
Hey, thanks, Andrew.
So we often hear rare earths. It's not the mining, it's the processing. And you're planning to get into that area in both Louisiana and Kingston. So just outline your plans, please, Pat.
Yeah, the Louisiana plans were something that took hold a couple of years ago as we engaged with the U.S. Department of War, as they're called now. And the plan in Louisiana is to build out heavy rare earth. Heavy rare earth is needed for neodymium iron boron magnets, which are used in many applications from AI to robotics to electric vehicles, wind energy, some defense applications. And so Louisiana was our first tranche, if you will. Second tranche, Canada. Canada looked at the need for samarium and gadolinium, which is another often unheard of rare earth elements, but very necessary when it comes to defense. So we're progressing with a plant in Kingston, again, with refining being the key. The whole way to break the rare earth control that China has right now is to take over and take back the refining. The refining and processing is where China has taken control of many critical minerals, including rare earth. And unless we get that back in North America, we can't make things happen. So we, in fact, embarked on Plant 1 with support from the Department of War, and then most recently, NRCan, the Canadian government stepped up in a big way, and we're building a second facility to focus on samarium gadolinium, actually, in Kingston, Ontario, Canada.
Why Kingston?
Well, you know, our commercial demonstration plant is in Kingston, and we have a lot of really good metallurgy people there. We've got good scientists and chemists, and it's just a smart place to be. There's a real hubbub of metallurgy activity in that particular area. We figure, why not have our commercial demo plant, which is all the workup for our projects is done, process flow sheet development, R&D on different materials, testing of different materials, and why not take that centric campus, if you will, and say, let's build a building not too far from there, or brownfield a building not too far from there, or to greenfield something would be too long a time horizon, but go ahead and work on Kingston and build a campus there that will allow us to take that knowledge that we have and expand right in that area.
So tell us about this samarium. Apparently, the U.S. Defense Establishment is worried that they may have trouble getting hold of this material. What is it used for?
Yeah, samarium is used in samarium cobalt magnets. I know we don't hear much about that these days, but samarium cobalt magnets are the magnet of choice for defense. And when you think of the bans that have come out from China, you know, on a Western level, the bans that they made back in April were actually in that package of 7 rare earth elements that they banned. Samarium and gadolinium were in there, along with terbium and dysprosium. And so that was a real challenge back in April when that ban came out. Most recently in October, they added 5 more rare earths to the ban, and then after the negotiations that have gone on back and forth between the U.S. and whatnot, they pulled back some of the restrictions in October, but the restrictions from April, the ban from April, is still in full effect. That means samarium and gadolinium, which were really down to stockpile levels. So magnet makers that are samarium cobalt magnet makers, either in Germany, which we're aligned with, or one in the U.S., which we're aligned with, they need samarium, and without the samarium, they won't be able to move forward. And for defense, they use samarium cobalt because it withstands very high temperatures. It works with a very corrosive environment. So you can imagine a military hostile environment. You need those types of extra performance parameters to get beyond what an EV would give you. Something that an F-35 fighter jet, a Virginia-class submarine, a destroyer, all of those missile guiding systems, they would need samarium cobalt magnets. In fact, Lockheed Martin in Canada, who does a lot of the work for the F-35 program, they use samarium cobalt magnets, and lots of them.
You spent many years in the auto industry, and you are an engineer as well. So give us some insight. I mean, how hard is it to process this stuff?
You know, it's not an easy job. If you're going to take on critical minerals, rare earth is certainly one of the most difficult ones. And you know, these rare earth elements are found all in a chain in nature. They're all found the same way all the time. And you have to get in there with a chemical program that takes an organic and aqueous solution and tries to break them down bit by bit. And it's a very difficult processing approach. The only real truth of processing refinement that's been shown in the world to work well is solvent extraction. But we have a technology known as Rapid SX, which is a very good way to apply the chemistry that much more effectively. It gives you 70% more throughput in a plant with 60% less floor space, which means less power, less reagents, less people, less everything. And it's just a very good turn-on, turn-off approach to the Western market that's needed. We've been working with our commercial demo plant in Kingston now for about 4 years, and we've run 6,000 plus hours on the plant. We've gathered up 10,000 plus points of data to compare solvent extraction and Rapid SX, and we're ready for commercial prime time.
You'll be bringing in some kind of concentrate, I guess, to these plants, not raw ore.
That's right. Yeah, it's a total rare earth oxide, which is a concentrate. So it's much reduced from don't imagine a huge ship full of concentrate. It's something much smaller. It's like it's a super sack, they call it, and it's really just a small contained rare earth oxide mix that's then separated out individually into all the individual oxides. But that's the key. Until you get those individual oxides, you will not make the metals, the alloys, and the magnets that drive all of this 21st century innovation we're talking about. That's where China has the complete grip.
Pat, we've only about 30 seconds. Raymond James have you at zero revenue this year, scaling up, though, to perhaps 50 million or more next year. Do you think you will have actual revenue next year?
Our plan is in Louisiana, by mid-26, we'll be commissioning and starting with our first Rapid SX machine. And by the end of the year, we'll have 2, perhaps 3 Rapid SX machines running in Louisiana. And yeah, that trail for the Louisiana plant is it's a 10,000 TREO plant at the end of it after 3 years. But that 10,000 TREO plant is a $1 billion top line revenue with a very good return. So starting in next year, because of the scalable modular nature of our tech, we'll be moving forward and getting to revenue.
Thank you so much, Pat. Pat Ryan, Chairman and CEO at Ucore Rare Metals. It's Thanksgiving. All the best to our American friends and neighbors. The Wall Street Journal says some Americans are postponing their weekly weight loss drug dose so they can tuck into today's feast. Apparently, a lot of people are avoiding creamy and greasy sides. There's many takers of this GLP-1 drugs. They don't find those as appetizing. People are also cutting back on sweet dishes. The journal talked to one user of the drugs who's going to go with a healthy pumpkin cheesecake made of high-protein muffin mix and low-fat cottage cheese. Now, of course, these drugs work by suppressing appetite. A lot of people anyway stay away from greasy foods once they're on them because they can make you nauseous. So what about delaying your shot for a day or two so you feel like tucking in? The experts say that's okay. But you should wait at least 3 days before taking your next scheduled shot. And so it's fascinating. One user, and Wall Street Journal talked to people who've lost 60 pounds and more on this stuff. One user said she did skip her shots previously at Thanksgiving and Christmas, and it had a radical effect on her appetite. She says, quote, "I was literally actively sitting at the table like, okay, when are we putting pies out? What comes next?" She says she's going to be taking her drug as scheduled this year. Thank you very much. And once again, happy Thanksgiving to our American neighbors. We've got the close coming up after this.